Hello. Welcome back. Hit like, hit subscribe, and thanks for joining me. In this video, I'm going to go through a plugin called Newscool. It's by Native Instruments. It's in Reaktor. I'm using Reaktor 6, and this is my favorite Native Instruments tool, synthesizer, whatever you want to call it. I've got one of the complete bundles. I've had it for years. Can't remember which one I'm up to now, but it's in there. And it's that type of plugin where, like, I've briefly read the manual so I can understand what's going on, but I don't fully understand it. I don't want to. It's not something I've had a deep dive on. This is a type of plugin similar to other sound design tools that I like to use where I don't want to know exactly what's going on. I do want to leave it a chance because of how cool it sounds, how instant it can satisfy me, and this is one of those tools. I literally use the presets because they're so good, and I just tweak from there, straight out. There's no mucking around. I do sound design with it in terms of, I'll get to a good patch or preset that's available, and I'll go from there. So I'll get away from that sort of original sound source. But what everything does, I don't even know. It's a combination of whole different things, but it leads to amazing possibilities. So I'm going to get into it. The kick drums I'm using are hard as hell. They're by Trust True. They're available in his sample packs, Volume 5 and Volume 7, which are now on our Green Phoenix Records website. Check them out. The kicks are heavy as, and you'll hear them throughout this. So MIDI clip, Native Instruments over here. I've loaded up Reaktor. This is Reaktor 6. On the left, we can see all the options that it has. If you scroll down, in my one anyway, Reaktor Factory Selection R2. I've got Carbon 2, Laser Bass, Newscool, and Space Drone. So when you open up Newscool, and I'll just do it again from scratch. So Newscool, here we go. It opens on preset 60, which is Amnesia. You don't even need to use a sequence. You can just draw any note to trigger it, and let's hear it straight out of the box. So let's get into it. Get rid of this, bring the MIDI down. I'll solo the kick. We're at 145 just to get going. No, we'll use this for now. Okay, so I've just drawn a note to trigger it because it's got its own internal sequencer in there, and let's hear it out of the box. I'm gonna go through them and then we'll stop on one and I'll work from there. So it's very percussive bass, it's very bouncy. It's sequenced, it sounds like multi-channel. They somewhat sound the same, a lot of the presets, but that's just if you scroll through them without touching anything. I use this plugin a lot for my percussion. I use it for everything, but mainly I just use it and I'll start with the intention to make percussion. But when I start touching some of these parameters, it just goes to anywhere, So if we start with that out of the box, let's solo it with the kick. You can get percussive straight off the bat. We can get grooving. The top is a sequencer. The bottom are the parameters to change the sound. Again, when I use this isn't going to be a deep dive. I use this for luck and for chance and for its randomness. I'm admitting that off the bat, and I do use some plugins like that. So if we solo this, change in the X, Y, and the offset, along with the sizes, it just starts to change the pattern. Let's bring it back up. Decay, level, mix, filter. Then there's a whole bunch of different effects here you can sort of bring up on this graph here. It's good because it can go aggressive, it can go subtle, and it can get really rolling. And that's just having one note triggered. I haven't even really used this for a melody. I just always just leave a note triggered, and I won't even sequence. It's got internal sequencer. So going through these, one thing I will mention though, when you do use it, as you can see here, it's quite wide. So I'll typically, what I'll do is I'll just be conscious of the stereo field, the sides, just for mixing purposes down the line later. But also I don't want to get excited when I hear it out of the box, so then I have issues later down the track. So you can see, you know, like this face, I'm just clicking around for you, changing these sizes starts affecting things, sensitivity. FM synthesis, drive, decay. What I like about it is it can sound very complex. It can sound like several voices at once. And the disadvantage is because I don't know exactly how it works and I don't go into depth with it and I do leave it to chance. Part of my workflow as well is I'll just get it to where I like it, freeze it to audio, and then manipulate the sample from there because I like to work in audio. So I also don't want to get too caught up in the rabbit hole and, you know, not end up making a decision. I'll just keep going, keep noodling and keep noodling. I just want to get something out of it and go from there. So this is probably a good example now. And what I'll do is always duplicate. So I've got the original setting there. I'll freeze it to audio to get the sample. And you can hear from here, I'll take probably the kick, the bass, a bit of percussion. Now we've got the whole loop there, but I'll just consolidate this and let's hear it. And you know me, I like to loop. So if I bring in another channel, I might even, I'll kick layer, I'll create percussion loops, do offbeat basses. Let's bring this over here. Let's bring this up to the kick. Let's bring this over there. And this obviously has been planned, but it's not premeditated. So I'm just going to get some loops going. I'll get this kick like this. Let's mono that out. You can obviously use it as like a transient. You can go even shorter, just to sort of layer it, as you can see. Something like this, let's copy and paste this chain. Just because we froze it, my default won't come up, but we can mono this. Now you can play with it from there. I won't go deep into the EQing and tonally shaping it, but pretty quick, you can hear what's possible. And this is just, you know, freezing one instant of that preset. It's got some nice bass in there. It's got some nice hits in there. We can even, you know, you can do atmospheric stuff. And this is just the sample. You can auto pan this, you can reverb and wash it out even more and get some textures and get some introduction stuff, breakdown stuff. You know, you can even then, like let's say, I wouldn't, but let's say you wanted to use that whole loop and you like it, you could even then just sidechain the transient, and if we take that out, that's how I use it. But the beauty is you got the whole clip length. A lot of that will sound the same. But because we've got the MIDI still there, we can just go back, solo it, either tweak this further or change preset again. Change the steps there. Volume. You know, this would be great to, where are we? Automate this as well. LFOs and stuff like that. Another way I use this is I'll resample it and just play live with it without the kick. So like I'd hit resample now, let it go through and just, you know, rip all those out. And it's wild. And that's no extra processing. This is all within Newscool. So on top of that, if we go back to a more percussive sound, phone distortion, dropped this last week, it's free. That's getting a bit wild. Let's throw that there. Bass heavy, but just examples. That's nice, man, because again, duplicate it, and I'll keep it simple. If you freeze that again, what I use it a lot for as well, like you can get anything out of it. You can hear that pretty quickly. Heaps of percussion I get out of it because it's nice and textured. It's already somewhat delayed and sequenced. But what I like most about it is when I get a long sample like this, I'll look for a groove or a gallop, not on the rumble side, on like a top loop side. You know, all those little signatures. You know, because I work typically in 4/4, I like just short repetitive sounds. They won't be the main focus of the track, but they'll be sort of part of the drive or the intensity. And you can see there's so many little nuances here. There's one loop, another loop. You know, that gallop there, get that on the kick, Bob's your uncle. You know, then you process that and so on and so forth. Even if what I'll do is sometimes I'll loop 5. So let's say like that. To get that sort of weirder pattern going, I'll loop longer than the kick. And the beauty of that is, if we consolidate it, loop it. You know, once you then decide to start processing that, you can get, you know, you can shave the tops off, shave the low off, but there's still so many. But even if you're not going to use everything that you're getting like as it is to use in your track, create a folder, call it Newscool, and throw all these loops in there, because you're just going to start banking up really good sounds. And they might not fit what you're doing now, but there's heaps, man. Like if we just loop these, bring this over here, duplicate that. That last sounds shit, but you know, if you had a proper rumble going, we've only got one kick there. But you can get the idea, right? And what I like about it is it's unique. The percussion that you would get out of it isn't, you know, typical from an acoustic kit or a 909 kit. You know, you can get random patterns from the sequencer that comes with it, along with unique sounds. It's not just going to be generic percussion stuff. So, in turn, that's why I use it. It makes me sound better than what I probably really am, you know? It's a bit more detailed. So one more. We'll go through one more before we wrap it up. That's out of the bloody box. 17 known bug. I'm going to keep going because I'm excited now, so bad luck. But, for example, obviously I've shown you the context of, you know, harder techno, 145 beat. When you start playing with it, you might find you might end up using this for the undertone of your track. It can be used in other genres. You might use it in hip hop or whatever it is you're making. So let's duplicate it. We'll leave that as like the main. What I'll do is here is I'll roll off. I'm gonna do this quick just to show you this, but like we can keep the main one going. That pitch is that's fucking, you know, listen to me. I sound like a bloody insane sound designer, right? I sound calculated, I sound complex. It's 2 presets out of the box, 1 note triggering, and hardly any processing. Obviously, I've just rolled off the low end and I've put a slight saturation on it through the phone distortion. But essentially, you know, in these 3 channels, thing get cut out, you'd be right. But, you know, within 3 channels, if you miss that, right, it's pretty deep. So, I'm not going to drain it. Hope you enjoyed it. If you got Reaktor and you don't know about it, comment. I want to know if you like it. I want to know if you'd use it. I want to know how you use it. It's my favorite Native Instruments tool. It's not a secret, but it's a little tool that I've sort of kept to myself in the past. Check it out. Hope you enjoy it. Like and subscribe. Thank you very much.